Well, welcome everyone to this session this afternoon. My name is Damon Hernandez. I'm going to be presenting with Henry Komsky. We are with Samsung, based out of Mountain View, California. Henry is in a different division. He'll share with you a little bit where he's at. I'm actually in Samsung Research, and so I'm on the Internet Browser team and looking at immersive web technologies. So real quick, I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say majority of the people in here are Unity developers. How many are working on AR or VR? Awesome. Do we have any web developers that are doing any web AR or web VR? All right. Is there anyone in here that does not know what web VR or web AR are? So everyone knows, but no one's doing. Okay, well, then for you, you're going to enjoy a slide. All right, excellent. All right. So moving along with this, Samsung, of course, as people know, is a hardware company. We do provide services as well. And what I want to kind of go over with this presentation really are about the technologies and the tools that we're using to empower you, the creatives, and the developers. And so most people know us as, the different tools that we have for VR, the headset, the Gear VR headset, and then also that there are about 5 million plus of these headsets out. So the only thing that outbeats that really is Google Cardboard, or those types of devices. So as far as setting up a good ecosystem of people that have the tools that are necessary, we are really trying to hit that mark for you, the developers. And that's the fun thing about the phone as well, is when you have as many phones as are out there, not just from Samsung but others, it's kind of neat to think that now everyone has virtual reality in their pocket. I've only been doing VR myself since 2007, but it was definitely at a time to where the headsets were a lot more expensive, right? So the fact that now most people have that VR-enabled device in their pocket is really exciting. And then moving through this, we really look at how are we providing tools that are enhancing, again, the different experiences. So for entertainment, just to kind of go over this, you look at enhancing storytelling. And I made a trade-off, forgive me, of video. So I didn't have time to code into this page, but this is essentially a Web 3D page. It's using WebGL at the low level. It's using a runtime on top of it called X3DOM, which is based off of the X3D standard, which Tony Parisi built Vermal. This is the next generation of that. And so when it comes to storytelling, you have things like the Alien experience by Baobab Labs, the one on the top right. If no one's ever experienced this, gentleman did an experience talking about how he went blind. And so essentially he was chronicling that experience for him in a very engaging way. And then of course in the bottom right, if anyone's ever seen the Cirque du Soleil, that's a really cool experience of the curious one that they have that really kind of puts someone in the experience. Now, this will probably get things thrown at me in certain circles, but what I think is interesting about virtual reality and its relationship to 360 video is that where me being a purist personally, I feel that 360 video is not VR, but VR makes the most out of 360 video, right? And so that's what's really great about these opportunities now, is that those that use that as a medium now are able to enhance their storytelling in a completely immersive way. And then also, of course, as most are familiar with gaming. So how many people in here are using Unity for non-gaming purposes? Oh, bless you all. Okay, awesome, fantastic. I myself come from the enterprise sector as well. I do enjoy games, but I'm one of those that in addition to making a nice paycheck, also like to see how these industries are impacted in real world by these types of technologies. But when it does come to gaming, there are a lot of examples out there. The zombie shooter we have over in our booth, if anyone would like to come by, leverages our 3DOF or 3 degrees of freedom controller and things like that. Also you have space shooters, which are really great, super awesome for making people that have never experienced VR a little nauseous, but really exciting things. And then also, as you see there, the Duck Hunt Unlimited with a nice little quote from essentially Jamie, and I always mispronounce his last name, Attili from GBC Games, as far as just some of the experiences, again, when it comes to the gaming side of things. And then also what's kind of fun, and this is what's neat about Samsung, is since we have so many devices, right? I mean, it's a huge company. It makes everything from, third world's largest shipbuilder to, buildings it builds. I mean, a lot of different things in our portfolio. And that allows us to expand virtual reality into areas that you normally don't see it going. And so this is an example of a company called Verzum. They essentially make their virtual reality fitness program, much like the ones that you see out here, and they have this bike. And so when you're on the bike and you're pedaling around, they have a game here where you can be a cowboy and you're actually having to lasso other people. They have tank experience and others to promote this. But then what's kind of neat with that IoT component is that using essentially the S3 watch and others via Tizen, you can then take in the biometric information that you're pulling from this, so your pulse and other things like that, to display in the experience itself. And then through other systems that we have, like Samsung Arctic and whatnot, then you're really able to tie into IoT cloud services and actual chips. And that's where I get excited, is seeing that as we start to see things like AI and IoT merge with people needing to better understand that data, that content, right? That context, that we can use these visualization technologies and then authoring tools like Unity to say, how can we help better control our built environment and the digital world that's coming online around us? So this is an example, again, a little bit more on the gaming side of how this is being applied. Then we look at, enhancing reality, right? And it's kind of funny because I'm one of those that when you hear people say like, oh yeah, man, well beyond gaming, it can be used for, and stop the list. It's everything else, right? It's reality. To go through a list of like, oh, it can be used for this and this and this. Well, I mean, that's the fun thing about the technologies that we work in. When you digitize all of reality, that's big enough. And then fantasy and everything else follows in that. So what we kind of see here is where, again, virtual reality is being used for everything from surgical simulation. Next to that, for any people that are from the built environment professions, a company called BIM Object. Essentially, think of them as a SketchUp warehouse or a sketch fab of real-world objects. Right? And so these are objects coming from building product manufacturers, and they're looking at virtual reality, at how can we put these assets into essentially the building information model or the 3D models coming from the architects or the construction companies, and be able to get cost. And so it's not just about visualization, it's about going to that next step further of accessing metadata, cost, scheduling information. Of course, therapy is a very huge thing. Everything from setting moods to meditations, desensitization, phobias, right? People who are scared of spiders and things like that are now able to go into VR. I'm sure someone in this audience has a friend that, like my friend, he had a girlfriend that was scared of heights. He put her in the Oculus DK1 at the time, up on high bridges, and eventually Anya was able to go out on a bridge. Now, she wasn't running across them, but beforehand she wouldn't even go near them, right? So the idea of being able to see how this is being done, and if anyone's ever interested in some of the work that's going on around that, there's a very interesting gentleman, again, messing up a last name, Adam Gasly out of the University of San Francisco in Mission Bay, so UCSF. And he's doing a lot of interesting work where he's trying to look at how can you use interactive experiences that they're building in Unity to switch cognitive levers to essentially repair or create new neural pathways, right? And so his whole idea in his work is around how can you use virtual reality and immersive technologies to essentially fight neurological disorders. So instead of you getting a big thing of pills to help you combat your Alzheimer's, you're actually doing these different experiences. So really fascinating work there. Down here on the right in the United States, one of the congressmen from the state of Connecticut, believe it or not, who's big on the security advocacy side. So you can imagine what he's focused on right now as a committee member in the US. But they were looking at and are interested in the ways of cybersecurity, right? So as different industries are putting online medical data or building data or really sensitive information, right? What is the security structure around that, right? What are the protocols that are involved? And so from the government standpoint, it's very interesting to see now how they're starting to get engaged. One more, kind of more from the homeland security perspective, but I think that as VR begins to mature into the commercial sector, we're going to see a lot more regulation around these things, right? Because as people begin to build these experiences that get your blood pressure running, you have to think you can trigger PTSD in somebody. If we're using it to solve their PTSD, we sure can trigger it in them as well. So I think that there's going to be a lot of these regulations that come into play. So it's interesting to see the way that governments are being involved. Of course, in education, This is a soft spot in my heart. It's really neat to see the way that you can build on top of experiential learning and constructivist learning methodologies, right? Now you can be in the experience where the information is being presented to you in the ways that you learn the information. I'm a visual kinesthetic learner, so if anyone comes up to me and talks to me afterwards, I'm going to be staring at your name badge to remember your name, and then closing my eyes to build that in my head. And so what's fun about VR and these other technologies is that they can really target and tailor that to the specific individual. So it's really exciting where we're going there. And then of course in retail, right, and that ability to be able to visit a store, and maybe not even a store, right? Would Amazon or something equivalent need to be a store where you're navigating around? Not necessarily. But again, so interesting ways of how we're enhancing reality. And then to me, not that I'm too well known here in Europe, but at least in the States, I'm very community driven. I run a WebGL meetup group in San Francisco. I run the WebVR meetup group there as well. I run a variety of different hackathons. And so it really is for me about enabling creators. And so for that, Samsung has looked at and said, okay, well, for the real world artist, what do we do? And so right now, this is probably the first here at Unite. This is being streamed right now to YouTube. So if anyone goes to the YouTube channel, my personal one, Metaverse One, they could see this not only in 360, you guys in the crowd right now, but they could go into the Gear VR and be seeing this presentation in VR. So we're kind of, y'all are part of breaking some kind of fun stuff here. Like I said, we tried to be a little bit geeky with it. So on the camera, again, as you can see here, I don't read slides, but you can definitely record. You can do live streaming as we are. It's a smaller size, which is nice. It fits in your pocket. Doesn't look like you're hiding tennis balls. And then also on the other one that we'll be raffling off here in a little bit, that one shoots really good images and video as well, but it does not stream. In my personal opinion, I would say go with this one if you're doing video, go with the other one if you're shooting pictures. But this, again, is giving that person the ability to say, hey, you don't want to be caught up in the content creation, so here you go. And then for the filmmaker that does this and wants to look at where do I put this, well, of course, you've got YouTube, you've got Facebook, but then also we have a service called Samsung VR, where you can upload that and access that information either through a web interface, mobile, or again, you can go into the Gear VR and do it that way. And then for game developers, right? Definitely there's Unity. Anyone in here working with Unreal? Oh, you probably wouldn't be too popular if you did raise your hand, so that's okay, all right. The Unreal game engine, and then also Autodesk's Stingray engine for any that are familiar with that. For mobile development, we do have our own framework that we've offered for those that want to jump right into Java or the Android experience. If you're interested in learning more about that, there's the QR code for you. And essentially this is if you're building enterprise solutions and you're looking at something that maybe needs to be open source, royalty free, you own the IP, or your customer, your client does. So the Gear VR F framework was established to do that. It does support JavaScript as well. So if you're not a Java person, but you do enjoy JavaScript, there are ways to build experiences that way as well. And then, of course, for the web developers, we pushing hard on the web VR. Again, I'm on the internet browser team, and my background is on web development. And so this is really exciting for me to see how, one, WebGL made 3D on the web ubiquitous a few years ago across multi-billion devices, but that how the way that has grown into web VR. And this is the direction that a lot of these technologies are going. Now, will you need to do the web for everything? Of course not, right? Different platforms, different distribution, depending upon your needs. But you need to pay attention to this. You need to, in the Unity forum, say, hey guys, don't forget about WebVR, which they're not. But when you have Facebook say this is the direction they're going, Google say this is the direction they're going, and then us as a hardware company saying this is what we're supporting, I think it's good to, in that Wayne Gretzky, for those that are ice hockey players, skate to where the puck's going to be. And so then just looking at what's new, as I said, how many people in here even knew that Samsung made an internet browser? I love honesty. Okay, thank you. All right. For all the rest of you, you can come by and we have some lovely pins to give you. But we do make an internet browser. It is optimized for our different devices, as you can see here. Essentially, it runs on the phones, the tablets, the Gear VR headset itself, and on the newer televisions. So again, this goes back to how are you creating experiences that can leverage these different things, and then it also you can do controls from the wearables as well. So this is kind of a little bit more intuitive, I feel, in VR than having someone tap the side of their temple and doing things. So it's kind of fun how you can do these different modes of interaction. And then also from the transition of the mobile device, if you're on a page and someone's scrolling through, there's a piece of 360 content in there or WebVR content. You can slide it into the gear, it'll launch up the browser, take them to that page, and they can continue through the experience. And then, of course, on the back there is an example of some web AR. And then just talking a little bit more on the browser, which is kind of fun. If you are doing development, we have a small little script that you can throw into the bottom for essentially modifying the skybox. So if someone is visiting an article and you want to immerse them into a 360 image or a video of that, you can do so with the Skybox API. And then also there's these additional features that probably those that raise their hand for enterprise care more about than others. So Samsung Pass integration is essentially where you're using the biometrics for authentication. Now, if you are building a medical application, for example, and in the States you have to hit essentially HIPAA compliance, right? You have to authenticate that that doctor is the person that's supposed to look at those medical records. Otherwise, lawsuits can go around, people can get in trouble. This is a great way of doing that, right? If you're building a VR or AR application that talks to your car that drives itself, your house that controls itself, and all these other things, being able to have that extra layer of authentication, I personally feel, would be key. Otherwise, you could just scrape it from an autofill. And then moving on to the next side, Samsung Pay integration, where using essentially W3C standards around web payments, which you're going to see a lot more of. And then what's great about this is how do you monetize your VR now? And I'm curious, and I would love to have a conversation with those in the audience later that are doing mobile devices on how you plan to monetize VR when mobile games and experiences are giving away for free, but where is the in-app or in VR purchasing that's happening, right? So I think that as VR and these other things move forward, a lot of these issues need to be addressed as we start to get into some more real serious applications. So with that said, I am going to bow out and then turn it over to my colleague Henry, who's going to come up and share with you a little bit about our developer program and how that can work for you. So thank you, and over to you, man.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Henry Komsky. I represent a different organization within Samsung. It's called Samsung Content and Services, also based in Mountain View. We actually are located in the same building, but reporting to completely different management teams. As you learn a lot about new and exciting technologies that Samsung offers, and we continue to develop new technologies and new services, I would like to introduce you briefly to the way the Samsung empowers developers and help them to be successful. I'll try to be as short as possible so that you can have some more time to ask questions if you have any. So I'd like to start with by saying that Samsung and Unity are working together hand in hand, having common objective to generate success and help developers to be successful from the business perspective. This slide contains very simple and common knowledge information where you can see Unity as #1 engine authoring tool in the world, connected to Samsung, and altogether we are trying to expose new application games and non-game applications to our user base. And our user base, users of our devices, hundreds of millions of our users are located globally, so we help you by creating a global exposure. So what does it mean exactly to leverage Samsung developer ecosystem and Samsung developer program? How can we help you? Essentially, it consists of 3 main components. On the left side, it's a developer program, which is loaded with services, personalized services, access to educational information, technical information, and support. It's a program that is currently run out of our office, and we help developers all over the world with any questions or issues, including access to our devices and testing new applications on our devices. In the middle, you can see our distribution channel, which is a global app store called Galaxy Apps. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that, but it's a fully blown, full-featured app store, and it allows us to feature your apps and games throughout the world. We are running pretty much in every country in the world, and app stores in every country are localized and presented in a local language. And interestingly enough, I spoke with people from different countries, including Middle East and Iran, and they asked me questions, how is it enabled in our countries? And trust me, everything is localized and available for local users. On the right side, I just published some basic information. This is US statistics. It shows that we have, on average, 23 million MAUs per month. But altogether, we are saying join us. Our doors are open. We are inviting everyone to join our ecosystem, especially Unity developers, and we will do our best to help you be successful. On the next slide, I just wanted to briefly introduce you to how we promote and feature our partners' apps in our Galaxy App Store. On the left side, it's actually a snapshot from my phone. It demonstrates that we create custom banners for the games, the applications we feature in App Store. In the middle, it demonstrates that for new titles, we actually highlight the new titles under the tab called New Games, exclusive games. And on the right side, we also feature brand new titles under the tab New Games. Again, this is just to give you an understanding how does App Store looks in reality. And please don't forget that the application for the App Store is preloaded on hundreds of millions of Samsung devices worldwide. Moving on, I would like to introduce you also to a special marketing initiative. It's a program that has been established 11 months ago. The program is called Games for Samsung. The program has been designed and intended to benefit smaller studios and indie developers by providing two main features. Number one is a global reach, and essentially targeting and generating marketing success when you publish new titles. I hope that everyone will agree that generating initial user base is probably the number one priority for any developer of any size. And believe me, we are working with developers from brand names down to single-person companies as well. Everyone has a common goal, and we are doing our best to help developers to achieve this goal. So most importantly, this program allows you to publish your new application in our App Store. We are asking for 90 days exclusivity. And in exchange, we promise and we deliver 90 days worth of very intensive promotion. How we promote our apps, you saw on the previous slide, mostly through the banners and highlighting in our applications. We're also executing the social media campaign using several popular channels like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and others. And from our experience, our partners are extremely happy with the results because essentially a lot of our partners are less known or unknown. And when they publish new titles, which are also brand new, it helps to generate initial user base in tens of thousands. In the last 11 months, we delivered 530,000 downloads organically. Everything is done at no cost. So once again, that's the main benefit that you get from joining this program. This program is exclusive. It means that we are looking at the multiple candidate games, and editorial team decides which game is accepted into this program. And if you are accepted, we deliver a very good value to you. Moving on to the next slide. Essentially, it talks about the benefits and banner marketing, web promotion. And what I did mention, we also provide the highest level of technical support, which we call the white glove program. We also work very closely with Unity. We publish blog articles, and it's also cross-published and cross-promoted by Unity. And altogether, you get everything within a period of 90 days. I can also share with you that uh, half of our partners asked us to extend the exclusivity period because they were extremely happy with downloads and business results. So this is what we do for you as part of the Games for Samsung program. Before I finish, I wanted to also introduce you to a new technology developed by our partner, Gyroscope. Samsung invested in this company's technology. It is really, really new, and essentially this technology allows you to create a personalized experience for your application users. It is using AI engine that learns from various factors, takes it into consideration things like date of time, gender, playing habits, and customizes the game performance or application performance based on various factors. So I just encourage you to take a look at this company by going to the website getgyroscope.com. I think you will be impressed. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to join us in San Francisco for the Global Developer Conference in October of this year. We are expecting close to 7,000 people to attend from all over the world. We are going to highlight all our services and all our latest technologies, and I hope you can join us for this experience on October 18th and 19th. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, Damon and I will be happy to answer them.